Okay, so yeah, welcome to our APFSD side event, official side event, a regional pathway to achieving SDGs and addressing the Triple Planetary Crisis, Kickstarting the Asia-Pacific Synergy Report. This event is organized by the Ministry of Environment Japan and the IGES, and then co-organized by the UNSCAP, UNEP, ROAP, and then ADB. I'm Junichi Fujino, principal researcher of the Institute of Global Environmental Strategy, IGS, and then today's your MC. So welcome to our side event. So we have a very rich program today. So let's move to the session. So then very fast, I would like to, Nadia, welcome. Your seat is yeah. I would like to invite Her Excellency Armida Salusia Alice Jabana, Under Secretary General of the United Nations and the Executive Secretary of the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, ESCAP, and she kindly deliver a video message because she's, I think, busiest person in this conference. So let's watch her video message.
Distinguished delegates, experts, and participants, I'm delighted to deliver remarks at this important occasion. We are currently facing a complex challenge: the triple planetary crisis of climate change, biodiversity loss, and environmental pollution, along with delays in achieving the SDGs. To effectively address these challenges, we must move beyond sectoral and isolated policies and adopt an integrated approach that maximizes synergies for enhanced speed and scale of actions. In this connection, I'm pleased that ESCAP is teaming up with the Ministry of the Environment of Japan, the Institute for Global Environmental Strategies or IGES, the Asian Development Bank, the UN Environment Program, and other partners to develop the Asia-Pacific Synergy Report. The primary goal of this report is to integrate synergistic approaches into policy decision-making processes, including NDCs, VNRs, national biodiversity strategies and action plans, and to promote effective implementation measures which are urgently needed given the limited time and resources we have. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the road ahead requires collective action, innovative thinking, and commitment to breaking down silos. By working together, we can turn synergy from a concept into a driving force for real transformative change for sustainable development in our region. I look forward to your insights and contributions as we move forward on this critical agenda. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Arumida-san. And then I also would like to invite the very important opening remarks by the Dechen-san, Dechen Cheling, Director for Regional Office of Asia Pacific UNEP ROAP. So, yeah, please come to the mic.
Professor Takeuchi, President of IGES, Mr. Yutaka Matsuzawa, Vice Minister, Ministry of Environment, Japan, Ambassador Amina Yawoli, Ambassador Fiji to Indonesia, Ibu Armida, Ms. Yoko Watanabe, both who will join us virtually. Distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege for UNEP to be at this important side event, a regional pathway to achieving SDGs, addressing the triple planetary crises, and kickstarting the Asia-Pacific Synergy Report. I would like to thank the Ministry of Environment Japan and IGES for co-organizing the side event. We've been talking a lot about the triple planetary crises, the crises of climate change, the crises of nature, land, biodiversity loss, the crises of pollution. And when we start to look at the interconnectedness of these crises, we also look at how these crises reinforce each other. But when you start to look at nature-based solutions, addresses both nature, addresses climate change, and we're looking at actually really reducing emissions. We look at the co-benefits of air pollution, climate action. We start to look at nutrients, nitrogen, phosphorus. And for the first time, if you actually looked at the Convention of Biological Diversity, the Global Biodiversity Framework, the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, they have targets on pollution and they have targets on climate. At the global level, UNEP facilitates a process called the Bern process. And really, it's to strengthen collaboration and cooperation amongst parties and secretariats of MEAs. And when we think of the really active agenda last fall, when you had, the triple conference of parties of the different MEAs, and you had the other intergovernmental processes, there was a growing recognition in all the conference of parties that we had to focus on synergies. So we're looking at the global level, we're looking at the reporting burden, and especially for small countries, when you look at the reporting burden to the different multilateral environmental intergovernmental processes. But you also look at opportunities. And so there's a lot of focus on, looking at national biodiversity strategies and action plans, nationally determined contributions, national adaptation plans, and looking at how they're much more synergistic and how the focal points and within the governments, the different ministries and sectors actually cooperate and collaborate. In this regard, I would like to appreciate Japan's leadership as the proponent of the UNEA, the UN Environment Assembly 6th resolution, promoting synergistic approach to address the interlinked global crises in climate, nature, land loss, pollution, and to support sustainable development, and to the government of Fiji, who co-sponsored this resolution with Japan. At the Global Environment Action Conference in 2024, a very high-level conference held in Tokyo, there was also a focus on maximizing synergies, minimizing trade-offs. And here all the work that was done on the SDGs and even the IPCC was brought to bear. So in closing, UNEP, we look very much forward to working together with SCAP and ADB in preparing the Asia-Pacific Synergy Report. The outcomes will be really important in reporting back to the UN Environment Assembly 7 on the implementation of the Synergy Resolution. We also look very much forward to the different conference of parties of the different multilateral environmental agreements and regional processes taking this work forward. UNEP remains committed to support cooperation and collaboration, and I thank you for inviting us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dejen-san, to explain all the purpose of this side event. Thank you so much. And so I also like to invite a very important core partner for having this Asia-Pacific Synergy Report from ADB, Ms. Yoko Watanabe, Director for Environment, and then she kindly also sends a video message from Manila. So let's watch her message.
Good morning, distinguished colleagues, partners, and ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to be invited to the side event at the Asia Pacific Forum on Sustainable Development 2025. Unfortunately, I was not able to participate in person, but really grateful for this opportunity to deliver the remarks. I would like to express my appreciation, first of all, to the Ministry of Environment of Japan and the Institute for Global Environmental Strategies for organizing this important event and inviting me to share the Asian Development Bank efforts on synergy approach in Asia and the Pacific. Given the importance of regional pathway in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and addressing the Triple Planetary Crisis, we must recognize the urgency of bold and collective action. The Triple Planetary Crisis, which is biodiversity loss, climate change, and severe pollution, poses a significant threat to sustainable development in the region. These crises are deeply interconnected and cannot be addressed in isolation. Plastic waste in our oceans threatens marine biodiversity and coastal livelihoods. Land degradation, on the other hand, accelerate climate change. Pollution impacts public health and economic stability. A holistic and integrated approach is essential. Asian Development Bank is committed to being the climate bank of Asia and the Pacific. Meanwhile, we recognize nature as a climate solution. Forests and wetlands are critical carbon sinks, and healthy oceans help regulate our climate. Through our Environmental Action Plan, which was launched at the COP29 in 2024 last year, we are expanding investments in forest conservation, wetland restoration, circular economy initiatives, and marine ecosystem protection. A key example of ADB's commitment is our 500 million investment in Indonesia's marine debris reduction program. This program aims to reduce 60% of the country's plastic waste entering into the ocean. This initiative demonstrates how we can integrate pollution control, biodiversity conservation, and climate resilience into a single high-impact program. Another critical initiative is the Regional Flyway Initiative, which supports wetland conservation along migratory bird routes from Mongolia to Australia. Protecting these ecosystems not only benefits biodiversity, but also supports agriculture, water security, and local livelihoods. Asian Development Bank will enhance our efforts to address Triple Planetary Crisis based on this plan and in collaboration with our development member countries and also civil society organizations, women's and youth groups, and indigenous peoples. In conclusion, the launch of the Asia-Pacific Synergy Report will mark a pivotal step towards aligning regional efforts to accelerate achieving sustainable development goals. And this is while tackling environmental challenges in a holistical manner. Asian Development Bank is honored to be working with our key partners such as Ministry of Environment in Japan, IGES, ESCAP, UN Environmental Program, and our development member countries in promoting this synergy. Strong partnership, innovative financing, and bold policy actions will be critical to achieving our shared vision. Let us use this opportunity to strengthen collaboration and build a resilient and nature's positive future in Asia and the Pacific. Thank you very much for your support, and I really look forward to working with you closely and collaborate and discuss for our future goals. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Yoko-san, for sending the very important message. So as the opening remarks, we will today kick off to having the Asia-Pacific Synergy Report development. There is Global Synergy Report 2023 and 2024 by UNDESA, Department for Economic Social Affairs, and UNFCCC. But there is no regional synergy report yet. So this is the reason why we start this journey. And also, as Deten-san mentioned, last UNEA 6, Japan initiated having the synergy resolution. And Fiji is very strong support for this synergy resolution. So now I would like to invite Amenata-san, for his special remarks. He is Ambassador Fiji to the Republic of Indonesia, Permanent Representative, UN, ESCAP. Yeah, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Excellencies, Ibu Amira Alizabana, side event organizers, ladies and gentlemen, with all protocols observed, greetings to you all. Allow me at the outset to thank the organizers for the invitation to provide a special remark to this side event on the topic Regional Pathway to Achieving SDGs and Addressing the Triple Planetary Crisis, Kickstarting the Asia-Pacific Synergy Report. This side event is to, as I said, to kickstart the preparations of a report addressing the Triple Planetary Crisis through a synergistic approach forming a regional pathway to achieving SDGs. The report preparation timeline is quite ambitious, yet achievable, might I add. That is aimed to be completed by April-May 2026 and to be submitted to the 9th session of the Committee on Environment and Development at the ministerial level, scheduled for July 2026 for their consideration. I stress the word ambitious for two valid reasons. First, we are 5 years away from reaching the goals that were agreed to by our leaders, in 2015 for the achievements of the 17 SDGs by 2030. However, the sad reality, though, is that according to the Partnership Report 2025 and the SDG Progress Report, none of these 17 SDGs are on track to be achieved. My second reason is this: the lack of implementation progress and the mixed results it has produced thus far has pointed to the importance of changing gears quickly and switch to a new implementation modality or approach that would attract the most optimum results for the Asia-Pacific region come 2030. I believe it would present us the most appropriate time and space to use and strengthen a synergistic approach in progressing the SDG implementation, particularly in the areas of climate change, health, circular economy, plastic pollution, biodiversity and nature-based solutions, cities and local communities, and means of implementations. The question is this: how and where can we find inspiration for such an ambitious undertaking? I have two issues to share with you today. First, a new paradigm to pursue development of developing countries in a balanced approach with unique characteristics of multi-stakeholdership, participation, and collaboration was mooted in the 70s, 80s, and it entered the UN multilateral system in 1992 at the first Earth Summit, the first World Summit on Sustainable Development held in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. As we all know, it led to the creation of the Rio Conventions, the UNFCCC, UNCCD, and UNCBD, and the adoption of the first program of action for the sustainable development of small island developing states in 1995 in Georgetown, Barbados. Sustainable development became the new paradigm of the multilateral system, recognizing its three pillars: economic, social, and environment, to drive development for the global south in a sustainable trajectory. In 2002, at the 10-year review of the WSSD in Johannesburg, South Africa, and in 2003, saw the subsequent creation of the Commission on Sustainable Development in New York to drive sustainable development and its operationalization at national levels through formulation of national sustainable development plans to express these unique characteristics in national development. Additionally, unique characteristics of sustainable development is the ability to move away from silo operations in the three sectors, harnessing policy-space collaborations and enhance resource sharing and ownership, thus building synergistic approaches to achieve the objectives of sustainable development. The 2030 SDG agenda, as we all know, no one left behind, further demonstrate these aspects. However, the subjects of which we are here this week to discuss and assess the slow progress in SDG implementation. The second, as we already heard earlier, a resolution adopted by UNEA and 6.4, promoting synergies, cooperation, or collaboration for national implementation of multilateral environment agreements, recognizes the value of strengthened synergies, cooperation, or collaboration. As you all know, Fiji was part of the initiation of this from Colombo to Nairobi, of course, with Japan's leadership. Thank you. Under the operative paragraph 4, this is what really attracts me. The resolution encourages member states to enhance synergies, cooperation, or collaboration as appropriate and contributing to the achievement of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Sustainable Development Goals, considering the best available science, indigenous knowledge, traditional knowledge, and local knowledge. And part B of that, it says, enhance knowledge and understanding of the potential co-benefits of synergies, cooperation, or collaboration. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the report will examine how synergies can accelerate progress on sustainable development and yield co-benefits across all SDGs in the Asia-Pacific region. It may provide a strong impetus SDG implementations need right now to make synergies a reality in local actions and national policies across the region. I thank you for your efforts in driving the synergistic approach forward while addressing the Triple Planetary Crisis as a regional pathway to achieving SDGs in our region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Amena-san, for very great remarks. It's really special remarks. And then now I would like to suggest the opening remark, the high-level people and also panelists to come to the front and then having the group photo first. Not the end, but yeah, it's a middle, but let's have group photo. So Amena-san, you should be center. Yes, please. Thank you very much. Okay, so now let's move to the next session, panel discussion. So I would like to invite all panelists to come to the table. So Sanmin-san, Professor Takeuchi, and also the Yanase-san here, and Kei-san. Kei-san. Yeah. So Bernard, yes, and you, yes. I will invite you later. Yes, here you are. Okay. Then now I would like to invite the Professor Kazuhiko Takeuchi. He is one of the co-lead of this Asia Pacific Synergy report for having the overview of the report. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Fujino-san. The most important message were already discussed by the high-level panel speakers, and so I already finished my duty, but maybe what I can do is to visualize what was discussed already. And our target is to develop the Asia-Pacific Synergy Report, addressing the SDGs and Triple Planetary Crisis, as already discussed. Next, please. So this is an overview of our decisive decade in order to achieve the sustainable future. We are in the midst of the decisive decade to be considered by the year 2030 to achieve the various global challenges and aim to achieve the sustainable society to be established by the year 2050 with no net greenhouse emissions, and to achieve the society in harmony with nature, and to establish a pollution-free society. In order to do that, by the year 2030 is very important for us to further develop our individual agendas, including the SDGs, the Paris Agreement, Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, and still we're discussing about plastic pollution issues to establish a new treaty on plastic pollution. All these things are very complicated and interrelated, and therefore it is necessary for us to integrate rather fragmented activities and to maximize the synergies and to minimize the trade-offs. So this is an overview of the decisive decade for our sustainable future. Next, please. Still, but we are under the small progress of the integration in terms of taking the synergetic impact. For example, we have the synergy report on climate and SDGs on the global scale, but we also need to consider about the importance of biodiversity and the pollution-free societies. And then another example is that IPCC and EPBES started to discuss about their very important interrelationships, and EPBES, IPCC, co-sponsored workshop report was released, but still we need to further develop the integration between the biodiversity discussion and climate discussion. And still resource issues, including the plastic pollution, is rather isolated from other discussions, and therefore this discussion needs to be integrated in the similar figure of our integration. Next, please. This is a Asia-Pacific Synergy report that we today launch with the lead agencies of UNSCAP and UN Environment, as well as the Asian Development Bank, with the support of the Ministry of the Environment of Government of Japan. And I just is very pleased to serve as a secretariat of these new initiatives. And we are aiming to release the synergy report in Asia and the Pacific in 2026. It means next year. So we have only 1 year to summarize our very important discussions. Next one, please. And why Asia is important? I'm taking this as an example of the plastic pollution. If you look at the plastic pollution, East Asia and the Pacific occupies the 60%. And if we include the South Asia, and then it reached to more than 70% of the all plastic pollutions distributed in Asia Pacific. It is because of the waste problems, and it also causes the pollution not only on the terrestrial ecosystems, but also on the marine ecosystems, which is very, very serious, particularly in the Asia Pacific. And therefore, it is very important to establish the new framework of integration on the Asia and Pacific level. Next, please. And we are considering that these four people will serve as a co-lead for the global collaboration. Bernardia is here, and then myself, and Dr. Ma Jun from China, and Soumya from India. She is a daughter of a very famous Swamina-san. And we will summarize a global report in collaboration with UNDESA and UNFCCC, of course. But we also need to consider about the significance of the Asia and Pacific regions, and therefore we are willing to invite diverse people from diverse academic disciplines, as well as the diverse professions and so on. Next, please. This is a proposed components and timeline. And we are aiming to create the proposed the report, as I already explained, by next year. And this tentatively is considered to be composed of the 5 chapters, including introduction and then organizing existing knowledge. And then the most important part is practical application of synergies approaches, and then how we could advance synergetic approaches and getting a conclusion. These are the tentative components of the proposal that we'll try to summarize by the next year. Next, please. So this is a timeline. Now we're in the APFSD side event, today's event, and then we're expecting 2 expert group meeting physically. One is hopefully in the Philippines, and second one somewhere in the Asia regions. And then we would like to launch our synergy report in Asia and the Pacific at the 9th SCAP Committee on Environment and Development. And we are aiming to collect as many case studies as possible. And therefore, I ask your kind cooperation to submit your case studies to the Secretariat. It means IGES. And then we will deliver our results not only in Asia and the Pacific, but also to the global community to ask them to consider as one of the case study of the subdividing the synergistic approach into the regional level. And therefore, I would like to ask all of you to support this idea. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Takeuchi, for summarizing our main activity. And as he introduced, we have 4 co-lead of this Asia Pacific Synergy report, and then one is Professor Takeuchi. Also, here is another very important co-lead, Dr. Bernadia. She is the Secretary General of the UCLG ASPAC. I think many of you know her already, but so Bernadia-san, please come to the mic and then having your message as one co-lead of this synergy.
Very good morning. Ohayo gozaimasu. When I saw my picture, that I feel like, oh, I have a lot of challenges faced by me, because actually I prefer to be called as a practitioners. Of course, we all everyone must be expert on the fields that you also hold. But I think I agree with what Professor Takeuchi said, that this must be collective works. This must be collective works, because what is important is that whatever report we produce, it should be applicable, it should be implemented. It's not just put in a bookshelf, and it should also be able to change, especially among the policymakers, decision makers, on what will be provided here. And first, let me congratulate IGES, MIJ, and also all the partners, ADB, UNEP, as well as, what the other one? SCAP. Oh yeah, I forgot. Oh my God, yeah. For initiating this Asia Pacific synergies on planet triple crisis. I think we all contributing to this crisis, whether we like it to be said or not. So the message here is that, number one, I think we have to highlight the importance of cities, and we are very happy that we are included in this writing, because it's very clear that most of people now live in urban areas, and we actually emit more than 70%. We use energy more than 70%, and we emit more than 60% of emissions. I think when Professor Takeuchi mentioned about this plastics in the oceans, it's all come from land. And it's not coming from inside the seas, yeah, but this is why even though cities only occupy 3% of the land of the world, but we emit a lot. I think it's good that we personally think that we need to address this. And I think we occupy 3% of the earth land, but we account for more than 60 to 80% of energy consumptions and 75% of carbon emissions. And when we're looking at the consumers, we at the local government or in the cities, we consume 60 to 80% of the world energy and generate 75% of carbon emissions source. This is very important, and we are happy that in the next commission of UNESCAP, we will highlight the importance of urbanization, sustainable urbanization. I think this has been decided by member states, and these discussions will be having after maybe for the first time after 40 years, right? So it's very crucial that we address the importance of this. But let me, I'm not going to take much of your time, but there are several points that I like to mention here. Number one, we will make sure that this is not just a report. We will make it this applicable, especially since we are also representing local governments networks in Asia Pacific. It's the largest one of the region in the world for this unification of local and regional governments. So we will emphasize the importance of we, of course, local governments as a driver, key drivers for synergetic solutions. What we need is more synergies, not only between central and local governments, but not only vertical, but also horizontal synergies. So we see also several key barriers. I really don't like to say much about barriers because we have already long barriers, but how we can change those barriers into solutions. So several success stories are already there. I think we will also put some good examples. Jakarta have some good examples. Also Japan, you have so many good examples. I think you managed to transform from into this sustainability, and so we will look at these examples, including, of course, several cities. But I just want to emphasize here that one more thing that we have to looking at is that we should not only looking at mega cities, but looking at also intermediary cities. We don't call it secondary cities. If you are expert on cities, we don't want to call it secondary cities. No city wants to be seconded, or no city want to be a second. All want to be primary cities. So we in UCLG ASPAC and UCLG in the global arena, we use the term of intermediary cities. Why we have to looking at not only mega cities, but also intermediary cities, because we don't want those cities, intermediary cities, to become mega cities, but not in sustainable ways. I think that's the key that we need to emphasize. And last, I think you all know that financing is always a problem. But I was a little struck when I heard the speaker say this morning that private companies want to work and they don't know how to find partners. It's for me, I think if you're in the room this morning, you heard that kind of things. And I think we really need to go beyond just CSRs. It's not the way we have to looking at by also looking at this importance of financial options. Working with private companies, we have to looking at also investment plans, and local governments have a lot of kind of difficulties in preparing investment plans. I think ADB, you're good in doing this. So how can we raise the capacity as well, especially for cities and local governments in preparing, I don't want to call it bankable projects, because bankable like local governments are not banks. Sorry also to criticize that, but my point is that how we can prepare a good investment plans for cities, particularly for local governments, to push synergies between SDGs and climate actions. And looking at the climate plans, only few, I can say that maybe less than 5% of cities have climate action plans. You correct me if I'm wrong, but there are a lot of irregularities that we have to face. So we are also working with a lot of local governments in preparing climate action plans. Again, that also have to be integrated in the local development plan. So it should not be seen as isolated plans. It should be integrated. I think we know already how much money required to bring resilient infrastructure in this region. So how can also giving several financial options, especially for cities to access, because if we talk about cities, we also have to give a good enabling environment for cities and local governments to meet all those synergies. So thank you, and wish us luck for preparing this, especially since I'm one of the authors here, but I'm really looking forward to hearing from all of you, whatever points that we need to include in this report. And again, congratulations, and let's make our generation be remembering not only, I think we have to be remembered as a good generation, not a polluting generation. I think we all have responsibility on this. So thank you. Arigatou gozaimasu. Domo.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nadia-san. We also have the video message from the colleague. So let's watch the video message from Soumya-san and also Marjun-san.
Hello, I'm Dr. Soumya Swaminathan. I currently chair the MS Swaminathan Research Foundation in Chennai, India, and was the former chief scientist of the World Health Organization. I'm very happy to be a co-lead for the Asia Pacific Synergies report. I have previously worked on the Global Synergies report. I think this is a really important issue now for the world, but also for our region, the Asia Pacific region, which is home to 60% of the global population and which also faces some of the biggest threats in terms of climate change, biodiversity loss and loss of natural resources, as well as pollution, environmental pollution. And it is urgent that we need to think of ways where we can synergize efforts and policies and actions between achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. And by the way, this region is not on track to achieve any of the SDGs by 2030. And at the same time, we want to make sure that we are also addressing the issues of global warming and climate change. And so my experience with the Global Synergies report tells me that this type of a focused report which addresses the very specific and contextual issues in the Asia Pacific provides solutions, enables a sharing of best practices and knowledge, can have impact on the policy environment as well as on financing and implementation of some of the needed, urgently needed initiatives. So I look forward to working with my other co-leads. I'm grateful to Professor Takeuchi, of course, and also with the other group members of the expert group to produce this report in the next 12 to 18 months. Thank you.
Okay, so and then let's have a video from the Marjun-san. Yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Marjun. I'm the founding director of IPE. It's a pleasure to be part of this important side event. I would like to thank IGs and the co-organizers for the valuable opportunity to contribute. As we all know, the Asia Pacific region is at the forefront in addressing climate change and achieving SDGs. The massive challenges require us, I believe, to find new ways to work together and explore synergies between different sectors and stakeholders. It can accelerate our progress and create co-benefits across multiple SDGs in this region. As in China, we are making some progress in achieving the SDG targets. On the air pollution side, the Beijing's PM 2.5 dropped from nearly 90 micrograms to 30.5 last year. Having said that, the further improvement will be far more difficult. End-of-the-pipe solutions would not quite work. So we need to synergize that with the climate action and to transform the energy supply and the structure of our industry and the ways of our transportation. And moving forward, I think the need for synergy will only grow stronger in our country and also, I believe, in this Asia-Pacific region. As we work towards the release of the Asia-Pacific Synergy Report in 2026, we must continue to deepen our understanding of how these synergies can be implemented at both local and regional levels. I look forward to continuing our collective work on this initiative and to seeing the positive impact that we can make together. Thank you once again for the opportunity to contribute. I wish everyone a successful event.
Thank you very much, Soumya-san and Marjin-san, for sending the very strong message, as they call it. So now it's a time for Sami-san to lead the panel discussions, our very important, strong partner. Yeah, Sami-san, please.
Thank you. So we had a long process towards today's this kick-off meeting. And it is quite exceptional for us to organize a kick-off meeting for preparing report. We mostly organize this kind of meeting to launch a report, but we are just organizing this to give you heads up information on this report. And I'm really pleased with this large number of participants. This shows high level of expectation. And many of our speakers highlight that we are really racing against the time and following the language from Ambassador Amena. We needed to quickly change the gear to accelerate our speed for implementation. So we regarding synergies, I would like to highlight 3 points. First, of course, synergies across different thematic issues, climate change, biodiversity, pollution, and there are many thematic issues, identifying synergies across those thematic issues, and synergies across different means of implementation, how to efficiently utilize our limited resources, and then also synergies across institutions, across multilateral mechanisms. And then in that regard, so this panel discussion will focus on synergies which is being promoted at the international level by different international or also bilateral entities. So with that, so I'm first pleased to invite Mr. Yanase Tatsuya, the climate change specialist from ADB, for synergies promoted by ADB.
Okay. Thank you, Sami-san. Good morning. It's already good afternoon, everyone. And this is Tatsuya Yanase from ADB. First of all, I really appreciate that giving me this great opportunity to introduce our effort to promote synergy. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. So let me start with our environmental action plan. Actually, this is already mentioned by Yoko in her remarks at the opening. But this plan was already launched at the COP29. And this is to strategically respond to the Triple Planetary Crisis, biodiversity loss, pollution and climate change. And this plan sets out to ADB's commitment to responding this crisis and scale the related investment in collaboration with our key partners. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this is the framework of the plan to address the triple planetary crisis. So to tackle with this challenge, we propose two distinct but complementary approaches. The first one is to increase nature-positive investment, orange-colored part, and the other one is to mainstream the environmental sustainability into sector operations and investments. So in doing this, we will refine the environmental diagnostics across the developed member countries and regions, and prioritize environmental and nature-related issues. So more specifically, so this approach will go through the strategic integration of environmental priorities into our country partnership strategies in close collaboration with our client. So this is kind of a very upstream level work. Then, secondly, we will identify policy and regulatory measures to create enabling environment and develop a pipeline of projects. So this is the midstream work. Then finally, we will develop and implement investment in both public and private sector at the downstream level. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this is in a nutshell what ADB is going to promote the mainstream environmental sustainability in synergistic way. So this will be promoted under 3 interconnected and mutually reinforcing pillars. As you can see here, nature-based climate solutions, biodiversity and ecosystem management, and pollution control and circular economy. So for one example, this is already mentioned by Yoko and also Takeuchi sensei. We already provide $5 million investment in Indonesia to reduce the plastic pollution in ocean. So of course, this is to reduce the plastic pollution in ocean from the waste management perspective, but also this will maintain or improve the livelihood of the local people in coastal area, and also will keep the ocean healthy. Yeah. So actually, this is the plan is already under implementation phase. So we will increase this such kind of the implementation and project in ADB. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is another angle. So I talked about the strategy or plan in organizational level in ADB, but this is an example to promote the synergy in fund level on the ground. So this is one of the ADB's trust fund, Japan Fund for the Joint Crediting Mechanism. Actually, I'm in charge of this managing the fund. Yeah. So this fund is contributed by Government of Japan, the Ministry of Environment, and which aims to provide a grant, not loan, grant for adoption of advanced low carbon technologies in ADB financed project. The primary objective of this fund is to achieve climate change mitigation. This is obvious, right? But by utilizing the carbon market under the Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. But my point here is that, as you can see, the right bottom hand, so there is a specific requirement. Yeah, and from synergy point of view, there is a requirement in application process. The project should benefit grant recipients through the reduction of environment pollution and or other social economic benefits. This is a requirement. In other words, if the project officer in ADB wants to get the grant from our fund to make the project financially viable, they have to explain how this project would deliver multiple benefits other than the climate change mitigation. So this is the requirement. So for example, air or water quality improvement, or waste management improvement, or other social economic impacts such as new job creation or gender equality or something like that. So again, this is the requirement that must be fulfilled. So personally, I think this is a good way to disseminate the concept of synergy across ADB staff and fund level or project level. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is the last slide from my end. So this is the list of projects supported by JFGSM. So each single project have justified how the project delivered multiple benefits. So we will continue to develop the project co-financed by JFGSM with the concept of synergy. I'm really looking forward to working with you to promote the synergy. I'll stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Mr. Morrison. Maria? Okay. So, Maria Patu, she is managing both asset deposition monitoring network in East Asia and Asia Pacific Linear Partnership of UNEP. And in view of time, I have to request not more than maybe 4 minutes. And your input will be incorporated when we have other expert meetings. Yeah.
Thank you, Sang-min, and good afternoon, everyone. I will keep it very brief, just a couple of slides, but just wanted to highlight, as we know, there has been increasing focus on synergistic approaches, synergistic solutions, providing multiple benefits. As you've seen, many of the SDGs and climate targets are off track. Also looking at a financing perspective, looking at solutions that provide synergies across and meet multiple targets will make the most benefit in terms of the limited resources that we have available. We've also seen, I think, with the global synergies assessment that air pollution has been identified as one of these potential synergy solutions, considering the multiple benefits that would be possible to be achieved because of improvements on air quality. Benefits for climate, health, education, economic productivity has also been demonstrated quite strongly. Linkage with cities has also been quite strongly demonstrated with air quality benefits. And I just wanted to highlight one of the mechanisms and initiatives that UNEP has been facilitating to be able to support this action that's being kindly supported by the Ministry of Environment of Japan, the Asia Pacific Linear Partnership. This was set up back in 2014 to help facilitate and coordinate action, identify regional solutions to address air pollution, and the focus on strengthening regional cooperation to improve air quality has been further strengthened with SCAP Commission-related resolution and also related resolutions at the UN Environment Assembly. Next slide, please. Okay. I also just wanted to share with you, I think, one of the examples of UNEP's work in terms of addressing air pollution, but covering different sectors. This is one of the examples of support we've provided to Cambodia in terms of addressing air pollution, providing an overall framework in terms of improving air quality with their first national clean air plan that was adopted by the ministry in 2022. And then as a follow-up to that, sectoral support, recognizing that we need to work across the different key sectors that are emitting air pollution and also contributing to various other environmental issues. So here we cover support on transport, agriculture, textiles, as well as garment sector is one of the key economic sectors in Cambodia, and with a lot of women engaged as workers. So there's also a gender aspect that's related within this work. So just to highlight how important it is to provide the overall framework, but make sure that we touch upon other key sectors and issues that are important to be able to deliver our overall objective. Next slide, please. And just on the final slide, and just to, of course, highlight this further, we have been also looking at the cost of inaction and what will be the actual cost if we don't address air pollution, not just looking at health aspects, but also the other aspects that would be affected and might be difficult to quantify if we don't address this issue. So for example, during air pollution episodes, many schools have had to shut down for a limited period of time. And of course, this would have significant impact in terms of children's education and even children's development has been also highlighted that will impact future worker productivity of the next generation. So I think highlighting a lot of these issues very much as connected issues would also make the case stronger and increase the justification to increase the level of investment that we would need to address these issues. And just finally, I also wanted to share with you, we are organizing a forum, an Asia-Pacific Cleaner Partnership Joint Forum in Japan next month, 20 to 21st in Yokohama. We'll also be looking at opportunities to increase this synergies approach as well within the context of air pollution and related issues, and I'm looking forward to contribute to that discussion further. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. And also Yanase-san really showcasing UNEP and ADB's approaches to addressing synergies. And then our next speaker will be Mr. Mitomori Koji, Director, Office for Sustainability Management of JICA.
Thank you very much. I hope everyone can hear me. Thank you for having me. Great opportunity. I'm Mitomori from JICA. Let me explain. Actually, JICA is more on operation side scope of view. I want to talk about the synergy. JICA is one of the biggest bilateral cooperation agency and provides ODA, Japanese ODA assistance. And let me start from how we understand compounded crisis. And we believe that there are three systematic crises: geographical system, climate change locates here, and the biological system, like non-communicable diseases, and also social systems that's here. And we believe that human security is one of the four parts we support. And there are food crisis, energy crisis, or a lot of things interconnected. So we believe to solve the climate change or other issues, a lot of issues are interconnected. So based on this, for climate change, we believe climate resilient development pursuing it is one of the four parts for JICA support. And the JICA for pursuing CRD, climate resilient development, aim to achieve sustainable development for all by maximizing synergies and minimize trade-off as well. So on this background, we prepared a matrix for synergies and trade-offs with the sectors and the SDGs relationship. And we concluded the green cell indicates synergies, and yellow cell indicates synergies and trade-offs. We find more synergies than trade-offs. And for our population, we try to utilize more detailed matrix for formulation or evaluation of our project using synergy and trade-offs. And in some cases, I want to share. In Asia, Indonesia storage project, there are synergies related to health and GHG emissions through our JICA co-benefit project for storage plant improvement or our population project. But at the same time, we need to consider some trade-offs, like a reduced poverty. Some people cannot reach the service of the storage. And also GHG emission reduction, the sea level rise exacerbate the seawater. To rehabilitation work implementation is necessary. That sort of thing incorporated. And we further try to promote these synergies into new projects. Some of our disaster risk reduction project in Africa, Mozambique, due to the rapid urbanization or the well-planned urban planning, and climate change increased the flood occurrence frequency. So our planning stage, we incorporate the measures for climate change into our project for like disaster risk prevention project and the master plan project. And furthermore, we try to incorporate climate change measures in new areas like urban development. We consider urban development to visualize contribution to climate change mitigation into our planning stage is one of the case. And the other is the agriculture. Agriculture is pretty much related to the climate change and a lot of synergies, both adaptation and mitigation. So our new agriculture project tried to anticipate climate risks for all projects and to seek more synergies and minimize trade-offs. So that's end of my story. That we are pretty much in line with this synergy concept, and especially we work very closely with Asia and Pacific region. So thank you very much. Back to moderator.
Thank you, Mr. Mori-san, highlighting human security as a really foundation for JICA's approach and climate resilient development, and highlighting those sharing those 4 projects incorporating co-benefit approach. Thank you. And then our last speaker will be from CityNet Secretariat, Mr. Chris Gennaro, who is managing Urban SDG Knowledge Platform. Chris?
Hello.
Can I also request you for 4 minutes? Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
I'll be as brief as possible. Thank you so much, Sang-min, for the introduction, and thank you to IGS, Professor Takeuchi, Professor Fujino, Ministry of Japan, everyone assembled for this opportunity. So I'm Chris. I'm based in the CityNet Secretariat in Seoul, South Korea, and I'd like to share my materials. So I'm just sent a request to the organizers. Okay. All right. So I think you're sharing. I'll just tell you next, right? So I'm coming from a city network that's regional. It's for Asia Pacific, formed in 1987 by ESCAP in part, UNDP and UN Habitat as well. We have over 160 local authorities and stakeholders in our network, and this is an image from our last executive committee meeting in the Philippines, Iloilo City. You might recognize some faces. And we actually used to be based in Yokohama City until 2013. So we have strong links to IGS and Japan, and Dr. Bernardia can probably tell you a lot about that. You can go to the next slide. So one place where we compile the knowledge from our network, and also any city that wants to submit knowledge, is on our SDG Knowledge platform. This is a joint venture between us and ESCAP and the Seoul Metropolitan Government. So this has been running since 2017. And if you like, you can scan the code on the screen or on your phone. You can go to Urban SDG platform to look at the cases that we have. You can go to next slide. So we've compiled over 500 case studies, primarily from this region, as I mentioned. One thing that's, if you're talking about synergy, one thing about the platform that's great is that each case study needs to be very clear about which SDGs the policy or practice is actually implementing. The uploader is asked to indicate specific SDG sub-goals that are part of the project. And then there's a section where they actually need to sort of give some justification or reasoning for how those are being implemented. So if you're interested in getting more cases on synergies besides the one that I'm going to show you, I recommend you to go to this website. So next slide, please. So I'm actually going to be sharing a case study from Jakarta, which you may know about. This actually comes to us from civil society, one of our civil society members, the Clean Chiliweng River Movement. And it's about empowering the community through waste to energy innovation. They have a refuse-derived fuel center in the city. You already know that urban waste management is a big problem. It has overlaps with decarbonization. You know where a lot of plastic pollution ends up in the rivers, as was mentioned earlier. This case is good because it includes community empowerment and employment opportunities as well. So waste management covers a lot of sectors, and if it's planned well, it can include a lot of other positive synergies. So to summarize this really briefly, this is a community-driven energy solution. It's quite labor intensive, but also less capital intensive than other methods. So it could be a good investment idea. It's quite replicable in other cities that have a river inside, which most cities in the Asia Pacific have a river running through. This trains local leaders to sort waste and into the RDF production. And the briquettes that are produced are actually purchased by local energy burning power plants by the ton. And the program has been running for since 2018, thanks to CSR and other private investment. So next slide, please. Just looking at some of these synergies and what I have here, these are the SDGs that the policy targets, and I've sort of paraphrased the sub-targets in a way that's easy to understand, and just made linkages between just the main areas of environment, economy, community, or people, planet, prosperity is sometimes known, just to show how synergistic this case study is as well. So you know that city governments and other city actors are working with really limited budgets, so they often have to be really creative and adaptive when planning any sort of approach. So they actually are already very good at finding synergies. So if we listen more to local governments and similar actors, we can come up with creative solutions. So that's really one of the big points I want to make, is that if you work with city networks like CityNet or UCLG Aspect, where we communicate directly with the cities, you're going to be able to get a lot of great examples of case studies that could be replicated and invested in throughout the region. Go to the next slide, please. This is just a list of some of the deliverables. If you want more quantitative impact of this, you can see how many neighborhoods this has been active in, how many individuals have received training, and the type of other stakeholders involved. And I think just one thing I would like to mention before ending is that, besides all this, the program, because it's community driven, it's grassroots, they really emphasize that they're trying to foster your community's relationship with venerating nature and being stewards of nature. They almost, in the original case study, they almost mentioned that it's almost like a sacred or holy type of relationship between human and nature. And I think that if you're able to create these programs that last for many years and create environmental champions in your community, that's really wonderful, and it's going to help for the future that we're trying to create in creating environmental stewards. So I think when we're talking a lot about SDGs, targets, and decarbonization, just don't leave the community behind, because the community is actually the greatest asset. So always make sure that we're including the people when we're talking about these types of things. So you can go to the last slide, and that's going to be it for me, as I know we don't have much time. I hope you can consider sharing some of your knowledge on our platform, or getting in contact with me if you want more case studies to be input for this great synergy report that's coming out. So you can talk to the organizers if you want to talk to me. So thanks so much for your time again.
Thank you, Chris. Certainly those 500 case studies available on this website could be utilized for our analysis. So, and many of you spoke about, applicable and practical, and then, so not just staying as a report, but as I mentioned, so this will be presented to our committee at the ministerial level, and then we will utilize key recommendation findings from this report as a discussion points about this ministerial committee, so that from this report we are hoping to create some new initiatives that can implement recommendations from this report. And then with that, let me hand over to Fujino-san.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sanmin-san, for your great facilitation. Yeah, we are almost the end of this time, but if you have any quick question, comment, recommendation, oh yeah, please, 1, 2, 3. So please, please mention in a short, but yeah, please, yes, you are first. Thank you very much. Please identify yourself first.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
This is Shankar from Empower India. We are a civil society organization. I would like to know how we can collaborate at the grassroots level, because you are talking so many things, and in Indian level, how we can collaborate. We are already UNEP accredited, so we would like to know more from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then you are second.
Thank you. It's a quick input. I was looking at the reference
could
material.
you kindly identify yourself?
Ali Jilani. I'm basically with the Asia Pacific Regional CSOs Engagement Mechanism. I'm part of their advocacy team. So I was looking at the reference material, and I see that, you know, as part of the first, as part of the significance section in the scoping, along with the economic governance and environmental context unique to the Asian Pacific region, the social dynamic is missing. I hope this is just a typo, because this is a scoping section, and you know we would love to have that integrated. In terms of my question, do you already have like some sort of policy architecture analysis available with you in terms of looking at, you know, what structures are fragmented and what will need to be coherent enough to leverage those kind of synergies? Or would you be incorporating existing tools such as the climate public expenditure and institutional review and so on and so forth? And it would be helpful if you can try to link it with, you know, some of the regional issues may not have their resolution within the region. So will that have a link with, say, the Pact of the Future, or Pact for the Future, and so on, in terms of leveraging global synergies as well? Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you are the third and last.
Thank you very much. My name is Chiara Gottarelli. I'm a medical resident in public health. And since you mentioned the impact that plastic has on the ocean and thus on fish that we eat as humans, and on pollution that goes beyond human health, since I am a One Health enthusiast, I would like to ask if you think that implementing One Health to reach your goal would be beneficial, and if you plan to do so, how? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So it's okay. So anyone who would like to respond from the panel? Anyone? Sanmin-san? Takeshi-sensei? Yes, please.
Yes, thank you very much for various important questions. In order to facilitate the collaboration with many stakeholders, we are still discussing about the individual authors of this report, and therefore I will think about the importance of inviting many stakeholders, as many as possible. So this is one point. And then second point, talking about the Asia-Pacific context, which is very important because we have very similar ideas of understanding the relationship between the people and nature. So this Asian context needs to be highlighted in our report. And so this is a very important aspect that we further need to pursue. And then third one is about the public health issues. I think that this aspect is also important. We are not talking about the environment issues, but also we are talking about the health issues. And these two things need to be integrated. This is a very important concept of planetary health. And we are willing to further develop this idea in our process of writing our report. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anyone who would like to add comments? Oh, it's time. Okay, so then we may discuss after the end of this session. Okay, so please give a big applause to the panelists again. Thank you so much. Okay, so we are in the same journey now. Okay, thank you so much. So now I would like to invite the final, last but not least, very important, the people. Mr. Yutaka Matsuzawa, Vice Minister of the Global Environment Affairs, Minister of Environment Japan. So, final remarks, closing remarks.
On the conclusion of kickoff of Synergy report, which will develop region and country-specific solutions on triple crisis and pathways toward sustainable development goals. with very ambitious timeline by 2026 June. I'd like to say some few words. First, my appreciation goes to huge contribution by colleagues. 4 of 2 we have today here, and future lead authors, contributing authors. I think today some of expert we have here, and for developing the report. I also sincerely appreciate the opening remarks, keynote speeches, and panel discussion today, particularly from Ambassador Amena from Fiji and Madam Deepen, Director UNEP-RWAP, as well as other distinguished participants. The Synergy report will be published by UNEP-RWAP, SCAP, and ADB, along with Secretariat role by IGES. I thank for their contribution to publishing the report by June 2026 again. To implement the report outcome and to realize synergies, UNEP, SCAP, and ADB will take leading role, and Ministry of Environment Japan, on behalf of Government of Japan, including JICA, will co-work with Asia-Pacific countries for addressing triple environment crisis and achieving sustainable development goals. And I'd like to touch on the important role of subnational government, as Bernida-san and Chris-san mentioned. Mayors, governors are facing environmental crisis and sustainable development obstacles, and they implement integrated measures rather than fragmented measures. They are the critical engines or driving forces for synergetic approaches. And finally, utilizing this the report outcome, we hope to have regional initiative, as you mentioned, at the Ministerial Committee on Environment Development next July. Yes, next July. And we hope to contribute to global common benefit and post SDGs discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Matsuzawa-san. Okay, so we are end, and then this is the start of our journey, and then thank you very much for joining today's session. So please give a big applause to all of you and us. So thank you very much for joining today.